Dressed for a Devo talk, so here I am. We're halfway through a shortened week with the holiday, but if you're anything like me, I'm sure you've had your fair share of frustrations already, and you probably feel a little bit like this gal at times. And whether you're a parent having to deal with children, I know now, as I've gotten older and been a parent, I know what my folks went through dealing with Brock. So, so I get it. But whether it's family or coworkers, things like that, we just go through frustrating times. And when times get frustrating, then we start to kind of look at the negative side of things, and then we become not the fish who thinks things are okay, but the one who's looking for a little bit of water. And so one thing that I read a book earlier this year, and it's called Well Done, and it's about building or strengthening relationships and improving your effectiveness at work and at home. And some of you have probably read it. What it is, it's about a guy went to SeaWorld, and he was there. He's having some frustrating times at work, and lo and behold, he starts looking. He's like, how do they get the whales to do this stuff? They got 12,000-pound killer whales. How do they get them to jump out of the air? How do they get them to work with the trainers the way that they do? And really what it was is it's then talks about, how can that apply to the home life and work life, and how can you be more effective with what they're doing? It talks a little bit about how, you can't always just reward the whales, because once they get enough fish in their belly, then they're going to be full and they're going to do whatever they want. So there's got to be different ways. Well, so the whole idea of Well Done is interacting with people can be frustrating, right? We've got family members and coworkers, and even, let's face it, it can be frustrating dealing with fellow Christians in the church. And a lot of that frustration leads us to focus on the negatives, and we find ourselves, you come home from work, you've had frustrating times, and all of a sudden you're not looking for to be able to compliment your wife or your kids, and oh, hey, good job. All you see what's out of place, right? You see that the kids' rooms aren't clean, and not only that, but something else has happened, and who knows what's going on. And that's all we see. We don't see the good stuff that's happened. So the Well Done method is a different way to look at it. It's a mindset change that I hope will be encouraging for everyone here. It's a challenge. I'll tell you that. It requires you to build trust. It requires you to accentuate the positive, and then when mistakes occur, you redirect that energy and say it's not about beating someone over the head for making a mistake, but it's okay. Hold on, this is the right way. This is the way we do it. So building trust. Well, people can't be worried about being criticized if you want them to perform, right? And that's the same way whether it's with our kids, with coworkers, things like that. People have to understand that you have their best interests in mind. And then when they see that, then they'll know that, okay, it's okay. We can go. We can do this. And people want to go harder. Accentuate the positive. It requires a change in that focus that I talked about. Being able to see the positives and not just see the negatives. And it's easy for us to look at a picture and say, well, that's out of place. We can always spot the things that are out of place, and we bring those up, but we don't always go through and offer that word of encouragement or, hey, thank you for doing that. Hey, that was a great job. And when we point those things out, you give someone a pat on the back. Look at how that makes us feel when someone comes up and says, "Hey, great job," makes you want to. Oh, I'm gonna do even more for that guy. That really felt really good. And then when mistakes occur, redirect that energy. Be a coach and a trainer, and not a judge and a criticizer. And Brock and I coach the kids' football team, and one thing that they make you go through each year before you can even start coaching is you go through a coaches meeting and they talk about different things. But one of the things is they bring in a guy from a positive coaching alliance, and their whole goal is make sure that as a coach you're making these kids' lives and their experience memorable, because you don't want to ruin the kids' experience and have them never want to play football or basketball or whatever that sport may be. But it's just interesting that we're to a point now where you have to have a class on, hey, don't criticize them. Teach these kids what they need to know. They don't know it. They're just learning. So a couple scriptures that I thought applied. 1 Thessalonians 5:11, therefore encourage one another and build one another up, just as you also are doing. And then Matthew 25:21, which is maybe the well done verse. The one who had received the 5 talents came up and brought 5 more talents, saying, Master, you entrusted me 5 talents to me. See, I have gained 5 more talents. His master said, well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I'll put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. And then we look at Peter, and Peter made a bunch of mistakes. But Jesus didn't dwell on those mistakes. He kept working. We kept teaching Peter. And in the end, Peter became that rock that Jesus was going to build the church on and preach that first gospel sermon. So some practical application that I think applies at home. Look for opportunities to praise your spouse or your children everywhere you can. It's easy for us to point out what's wrong, but look for that. Look for the things that are right, and let's be able to speak up and point those out. Sometimes it's easy. We treat our friends better than we treat our family, right? We have that trust, and we just sometimes it's just easier to I'm frustrated, take it out on these guys, and so look for the areas to be positive. At work, look for opportunities to encourage and build up coworkers. Remember that we don't always know what's going on in people's lives at work. You could be that one little spark that really changes their lives and has a difference, makes an impact in what they're doing. And at church, let's continue to encourage and be leaders in accentuating the positive. Really point out the good things and not focus on the little nitpicky things and that can bother us from time to time, but really look at what our end goal is. And in the end, we want to be a well-done Christian. We want to hear those words, well done, good and faithful servant. That's what we're here for. If you have any need tonight, please come forward as we stand and sing. I pray.